Welcome to the Spotlight by CG Ruthless, man. Let's welcome my special guest. It comes from a very small college, Campbell University. This is a long snapper. No ordinary position, but this is part of the most important position for some people. When it comes down to the kicker, man, they need that long snapper. For the punter, they need that long snapper, man. So let's welcome my guy, Bobby Cleary, man. What's going on?
What's going on?
Doing so well, man. For everybody else, man, who's not too familiar with you, man, tell me about yourself.
What's up, guys? So I'm Bobby Cleary. I'm originally from the Midwest, near Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I'm the long snapper. I played at Campbell for 2 seasons. I played 2 seasons out in South Dakota at Northern State University, a smaller Division II school. I'm hopefully the plan is to get a shot and play in the pros and see where that takes me. And just excited to talk to you and learn more about you and what this could lead to. So I appreciate your time.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. We're getting to know more about you. So we'll really start to get you into football in the early part, man.
Yeah. So my dad played college football for a little bit at UW-Whitewater, a Division III powerhouse in Wisconsin. And he coached me throughout my youth years and kind of developed those early skills. I played O-line and D-line. And, I just fell in love with it. And the funny story of me getting into long snapping is in 8th grade, the long snapper was sick for one of our games at the end of the year. And my dad taught me the day before because he did in high school. And I just went out there and did it. And then it kind of led into me continue to develop those skills and go to camps, showcases, and luckily developed an opportunity to play in college. And then now to be a Division I football player on full scholarship. So, crazy how it takes you from, just playing in the backyard to being able to get your school paid for and play at the highest level against some of the best guys in the, in the world. So it's great opportunity to, in a great position where a lot of people don't think, you can do anything with it, but, colleges are giving guys long snapper scholarships. And, no matter if your plan is to play in the pros, I mean, it can do great things for you in the future.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is the position where you guys play the longest too, actually. Mm-hmm. So it's like they got this one long snapper who's currently for so many years. This guy looks like he's old enough to be somebody's dad or something on the field.
Exactly. You got to wait your turn. I know a couple guys I've trained with, Rex Sunohara. He's currently the starting long snapper for the Browns, but I trained with him since 2021 with one of our trainers. They have a mutual interest connection with us. And yeah, he played at West Virginia, and it took him 6-7 years to crack a roster. And, he was one of the best in his class. So it's one of those where you got to kind of wait your turn, play in the UFL for a little bit, see if you can break in year 1, year 2. But yeah, there's 35, 40-year-olds still playing ball as the long snapper.
Especially for some of those guys, even this one guy who just came from the Texans, John Weeks.
Yep.
He's been there for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I was surprised to see him traded, but he was with Texans for like 14, 15 years. So,
yeah, I think the crazy part was he was just tested as a free agent, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But even at that age, I'm like, man, I guess that's how some of that position, sometimes for special teamers, even for kickers, they can play until like their 40s, like Adam Vinatieri, for example.
Yep. And it comes down to when a coordinator's got their 3 dudes, they're going to keep it the same as long as they're firing on all cylinders. And, that's why guys stay in there for so long, is they're just so great at their position and they're excellent. It doesn't matter what the opportunity is on the field, they're execute at the highest level. So that's what you got to do, playing this position when you only get 10 plays a game, most likely. And, one of them might lead into the game-winning kick or, back in 21, the Packers long snapper missed a block and they got block punt against 49ers, actually. And,
that could have been the outcome for them if they would have got the special teams correctly.
Exactly. So it's a game changer for sure. That third phase is huge when it comes to, especially in the pros, and that's how a lot of guys make their chances from small schools is you get and play high at a high level on special teams. So,
yeah, it is like it's like the more you start to realize that third phase of the game could be important for that outcome. Like if you realize about the other last Super Bowl, it could have went down by a couple special teams plays for the Niners, but it didn't go our favor because a lot of the muff plays and and then a lot of the missed kicks and all that, it just really kind of factor in. Then you look at last season with San Francisco, maybe if they would have had 4 of the special teams go their way, this would have been a playoff team right off the bat. But, you know, those are just plays that could have been the outcome of everything. But when you have a terrible special teams, it can be other factors of why you lost those games too.
Yep.
I mean, so what other position did you play besides long snapper?
So in college, I was strictly long snapping. But in high school, I played O-lines, and they didn't let me play D-line because I was the only guy that could snap a football, and they didn't want me to mess up my hands. So I got to play a little bit, you know, at senior night, play a little defense, but played center, played guard throughout high school. You know, my dad was a tackle, and, you know, our entire family is just a bunch of beef, you know, dudes, you know, and we love that Midwest trench kind of. That's how guys are made up there. And, you know, Wisconsin has a great run game every season. So it's kind of what's bred up in the Midwest. So it actually taught me a lot when you get to the pros. You're not just snapping and run down the field. You're snapping and getting back, and, you know, you're possibly blocking a 270-pound D lineman coming at your face, and you got to hold your ground and be able to deliver a blow and get out of there to, you know, cover the kick. And that's you know, it kind of separates me from the rest of this draft class is I've been in a pro style system for 3 seasons, specifically how they run in the NFL. And very few colleges run that system. And I've had a lot of, you know, be able to snap and block and get into coverage and show that on tape as well. So
I'm pretty sure when given the opportunity, you're going to showcase it. But for those people who don't really realize how important long snapping is, how is it to be training at that position? Like, what kind of specific routine do you guys do for those long snaps?
Yeah, so my trainer is special teams. His name's Kyle Stelter, and he works with about 10 to 12 guys that are currently in the league. And a lot of it is body control and physics and just understanding how a ball should move in the air and how your body should, you know, be the most efficient way possible when you're snapping a football. And you see a lot of guys in the NFL, you won't realize it because the ball is like this, snapped in 0.65 to 0.7 seconds. But when you see it at college level, especially with some guys that, you know, aren't at the highest, you know, don't have the technique and they just kind of sling it back there, you'll see the efficiency drop down, the speed drop down, and the ball will wobble. And accuracy and efficiency is huge when it comes to this position. It becomes to the point where it's normal and second nature when you're snapping the ball, same motion, same setup, and you got to be consistent with it. And consistency is the biggest key when it comes to long snapping and special teams in general. You know, like I said, you only get so many opportunities and you got to fire on all cylinders. But especially in the pro level, you got to snap and get the ball back there in 0.65 to 0.7 seconds because guys are coming, especially, you know, in the pros, they do it a little different. You know, if you're within the 25 to 50-yard line, they're bringing a rush. But if you're backed inside their 10, they're usually setting up a return because they're able to use that as advantage with field position. But in pro-style snapping, snapper, you better get your head up real quick and snap the ball and start moving your feet back and deliver a blow depending on what side you're coming at. And there's definitely a bunch of different protections when it comes to the NFL and what look that the return team gives you if they put 5 guys on one side or they have equal 4 and 4. They call it 8 box with 8 guys in the box. And then they can overload one side. So you and the personal protector have to both communicate. So it's a lot more difficult than people think. You think it's just easy and go back there and snap the ball, but there's a lot of communication, a lot of technique when it comes into it.
It's not as easy as everybody says. I mean, just by experience, you know, doing the long snapping before, it's not as easy. Like the way you have to snap it, you have to make sure that the ball is at the right place for the player to get the ball. Or even playing center. It really has to depend on the quarterback also how he gets the ball. And if you mess up on that snap, man, that can really cost you the game right there too. So exactly. Yeah, it depends on how you give it to them in a way, like on distance, you know, because you got to have that, because long snappers, they usually go down or try to like make sure that the ball goes right into the kicker or the holder.
Make sure laces are one. It all depends. Each coordinator is different. Some teams are at 7.5 to 8. For sure 8 yards. Some do 7.5 and on field goals, and you want to make sure your laces are perfect each time. So the holder catches and puts it down because that kicker is going right when you start snapping, and they want to be a boom boom.
Kick it right away.
Yeah. And then for punting, you're trying to, depending on the punter's leg, either left or right hip, you're wanting to hit. So they're able to catch it right there and put the ball out and just drop it. Because in the NFL, it's a 1 to 2 step punter, and they're getting it off, by the time that, they got to stay in that pocket and you got to drive your guys out. But, guys will get in their face, and you got to make sure that timing's perfect at the highest level. And a lot of technical things when it's not very a physical position, other than the first 2 seconds you're in the A gap, but it's very technical, very a mental game. Is stronger than the physical part of the snapping, and you got to be locked in and not think about it enough. You just got to go down there and do what you do all the time. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah, it's pretty much what you got to do, but it's kind of like a challenge at times, because it can be during a raining condition also, and you got to be able to balance on you got to make sure to control the ball when it kind of seems slippery, or even in cold weather, it depends, or even muddy as hell, like one of those type of environments. I'm pretty sure you guys train how to do that all the time, so it's like it's natural to you guys. So what areas of your game that you feel like you took the longest to develop, and what would you tell your younger self to do differently?
Well, I would say it was freshman year. I was coming into I'm 21 years old. I used my 4 years of eligibility straight up, never redshirted, didn't get that COVID year. So I'm probably the youngest kid in this draft class, most likely, unless there's, other than juniors going early. I mean, I'm very young for my class in general. But going in there as a fresh 18-year-old playing against 25-year-olds that play at, we were playing number 2 team in the country at the time, Minnesota State Mankato, where, Adam Thielen played. And, we're in a pro style position, in a blocking scheme. I never did that in high school, and you get thrown into the fire, especially in college when, coaches bring you on your recruiting visits, and that's just not how they coach in real life. So you get in the first practice of fall camp and you're getting screamed at when you have never done a system like this before. So it's just developing the skills of being able to snap and be able to block as well, especially against dudes that were way older than me and being, underdeveloped at that point in my career. But, my younger self, I'll just tell me to relax and just know that it's going to come over time. Just continue to stay consistent, continue to trust the process. And, over time you see those skills get developed and honed in. And, by my sophomore year, I was ready to transfer based off my film, just knowing how far it developed at that short time. And then when I got to Campbell and played under an NFL pro, Mike Minner, and my really good special teams coach at that time, Steve Williams, who's a special teams coordinator at Harvard now, that really developed and taught me how to be a pro at the highest level. And, then I even realized how more important the position is and all the technical things that go into it. But yeah, I just tell my younger self to trust the process, because, you're going to meet a lot of people that know a lot more than you, and just be ears open, mouth closed.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. With all that experience, so who and what had the biggest impact in your progression as a long snapper, and why?
I would say, when I got to, I have to thank my Division II coach, Mike Schmidt. He really developed me well into the player I turned into when I got to Campbell. But Mike Minner really developed, the mindset for me, what it takes to be a long snapper, and manifest things before it happens, and trust the process, and believe in yourself 100% at all times. And that's really what it comes down to when it comes to long snapping, is the mindset piece of it. And people don't realize it until you get into a game and something goes bad, and, you might get out of your own head. Right. So, he taught me how to stay composed, and in those moments when things get tough, and just we train that way all the time, just through winter workouts into the fall camp season. And, he really just, trusted me and showed how much he cared about me, and that, that bled off into my playing skills as well.
Okay, that's a good way to put it that way. I mean, at least you learned a lot from a lot of these coaches from different programs, so at least they taught you different ways. But we're all going to deal with criticism in a lot of different ways. But how do you deal with it when your coach is being straightforward about you? How do you handle those feedbacks?
So it was kind of hard, especially in college, because no one here when you get to college, no one's a long snapping coach. I mean, unless you're in the SEC or big time school, and most like smaller schools, they just find a dude and hopefully they can do it. And, you know, the coaches will say, you know, a certain thing, what they think or say. Usually it's not correct based off, you know, being with a trainer, Kyle Stelter for, you know, 4 years now, and, you know, how he developed me into my, you know, into and many other pros. But, you know, my mindset is, you know, listen, just say yes, sir. And knowing that, you know, my ability to do it, and I've done it multiple times, is, you know, how I've handled that constructive criticism. Because, you know, especially if it's in a practice or whatever, I've known I would, you know, be able to do it in the game day, and I've done it in the game day. And I've been able to handle those, you know, conversations over time. As a young cat, I definitely did not handle it as well. But when I got to Campbell and developed a different mindset and had different coaches, you know, the constructive criticism was a lot different. It was more of a, you know, a loving, you know, showing that they want to see you succeed. And when I saw that in them, and that and see me develop through those, you know, those criticisms as well, it, you know, helped me change my mindset on it, and, you know, realize that they just want to see the best in you, and, you know, succeed on the field, and, you know, wherever it takes you.
Oh yeah, I mean, part of playing the position is when the coach is straight up honest about it. He's not just saying it just to be harsh on you. He's trying to tell you, like, hey man, I know you can do it, but you need to work on this, and you'll be all right. But
Yep.
I remember a couple of criticism when I was playing different spots at center. He kept telling me, you need to do this, and I kept trying to like do exactly what was necessary, but instead I gave him a better suggestion. I said, you know what, man, I think I could play guard. If you want me to play guard, because, you know, the center position was just something I wasn't capable of doing, but he was throwing me out there, and I was trying to be straight up honest about it. I said, dude, I know exactly what you want me to do, but it seems like center's too much on my plate. And I just, like, you know, the snapping part and all the communication, bro. And I'm like saying, dude, how about you let the other dude play the center spot? Because he's been practicing more than me. And at least I was willing to admit that. And he just moved me up to guard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he appreciated my honesty. And to this day, he respects it.
Yep.
Because I wasn't trying to like play a role that I was thrown out of the, like, you know, throw out of the water or whatever, like fire or something. Like, I told him, dude, let me just play guard. I could be okay at that spot because I know what I'm going to do. And even when I play guard, it wasn't like a criticism as big as the center position, because playing center is a lot of responsibility. I can tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm. It's you know, just watching Kelsey and see how, you know, he runs the offense basically in Philadelphia for many years. That's the same thing when it comes to punt team is, you know, your long snapper and PP better be communicating with the guys next to you. Usually the guys next to you aren't starters on the team. They're, you know, backup tight ends or linebackers. So, you know, they might not be locked in the entire game because they're trying to worry about, you know, they were getting on the field. So, and that's your only position, only thing you got to worry about. And you got to be firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. The one thing I can take back from learning back then was maybe I could have reacted a lot of different on the way he wanted to do it, but I was just throwing in, like, just not ready at that spot. But now that I kind of feel like I'm more adjusted to it, I could have did it differently then. But, you know, we all learn from those type of stuff. But what's the most valuable lesson you learned as a long snapper?
I would say, you know, you want to chase perfection, but it's not going to happen all the time. And that's the same thing in life, is you want to be perfect, but, you know, you got to also, you know, be humble, knowing you're not going to be perfect. You're going to have times where it's just not going to be your day. And sometimes you just got to sit back and, you know, look at it from afar and not be totally focused on, you know, what's going bad, and just kind of chip away at, you know, certain, you know, same thing with kickers. You're just having a bad day. It's one of those things where you can be practicing and firing all cylinders all week, and then come Saturday, you're doing the same exact motion that you did all week, and it's just not happening based off of many other, you know, things. That it's a mental game, and it's just, you got to be able to respond to the situation, not react to it. And that's, I think, you know, what I've learned the most from not just being a long snapper, but playing college football.
Yeah, it's a mental game. You gotta like erase. You gotta move on from those type of games and try to like work on the next plays or something. That's what I was taught.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of football, who are you as a person?
Yeah. So I'm a son. I'm a brother. I take those things very personally, and being a man of God as well, and making those priorities over the game of football. And, at the end of the day, you can, playing football all you want, be a college athlete, but if you don't have those, those things above the game, you're doing yourself a disservice, because usually, when you put those things to the side, football doesn't work out the greatest, and you'll see that happen. And I think especially when I came to Campbell, those things grew even stronger, and I saw my success a lot deeper because of that.
Yeah, as a person, you learn to be who you are as a person, but then be in with the Lord, and a lot of different stuff, So there's a lot of ways how we are, but so we'll do some rapid fire questions and see what your interest is. So we'll go with let's say for a cheat meal, you're stuck in the middle of the road. You had to pick between McDonald's or Burger King. What would you choose?
Burger King.
Have it our way, man.
Yep.
And the Whoppers, the tri-boil burgers, that's one of my favorite parts of the burgers, if I'm being honest. Okay, so let's say you had no choice but to pick Coke or Pepsi. Which one would it be?
Coke.
Okay. Okay, like let's say you need to go to a certain store, like a budget place like Walmart or Target. Which one would it be?
Target for sure.
Yep. Can't go wrong. It's more of a Midwest over there.
Yeah. Yep.
So just from you growing up in Wisconsin, you had to at least be a Packers fan, right?
Yeah, hardcore. I mean, we go to a game, like at least for when I come back for winter break, the last 3 years I went to a game in Lambeau. So, just growing up and seeing that atmosphere, and I mean, it's nuts. It's a different environment.
Different atmosphere during like the later part of the season. It's pretty cold out there.
It's freezing. You better. No one's wearing Packer clothes. It's orange and black jackets, and that's all I care about. And still, chugging beers, in Wisconsin. That's how it is out there. Just crazy fans. Just, it's just a different type of breed of a football in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And
it's got to be one of those, because every time I hear about those stories that most fans down Green Bay, they just really take that city really serious when it comes to football down there. They call it title town down there.
Yes.
But what NFL teams have you met with?
Throughout the process, at least throughout fall camp and the season, I had teams talk to come watch me. I'd say about 12 to 15, had conversations with the 49ers. And then when I played out down in the FCS Bowl, I had conversations with the Dolphins, Packers, Jaguars, and Ravens as well.
So at least you got at least 5 or 6 teams interested. So San Francisco seems to be interested of a young long snapper, I see, because we got this one long snapper who's probably going to be 40 by next year or so.
Yeah.
So, what would it be like just to learn from John Weeks?
Oh, it'd be, insane opportunity. Especially as him, he's I think one of the tiniest players in the NFL. I think he's 5'11", 5'10", and he holds his ground, and he does, when you see success and for that long, that man's great. I've been able to also talk with Matt Overton. He played for he was Pat McAfee's long snapper for the Colts for 5 or 6 years. Played the Cowboys, many teams throughout his his career, and I've developed a little bit of a relationship with him and talked to him about all different things that go into being a long snapper. And he was a small school kid out of a small Division II school out west in Washington. So, it's kind of the same background, and being able to see how he got to it, to the league. And, that's kind of like the same process as what I'll probably have to do. You're not going to, it's really hard coming out of a small school and not being able to play in those big environments that, a lot of scouts like to see. Big, they just think because he played at Bama or an SEC school, he might be a little better, which I, totally understand. And that's, very consistent.
Competition difference. That's the problem. But if they look at what you guys do at the small conference, they might have to have a different opinion out of it. But I feel like you guys get overlooked.
Yeah. And that's the great thing about the UFL that's coming into play. And that's how a lot of guys I've known that have got shot, like Rex. And there's another guy in there named Cam Lyons who played at Charlotte and had a couple training camps with the Bears and Giants. And he's with the Bahamas right now in San Antonio. And he's, playing well. And he's going to play in the NFL and be a starter one day as well. And it's just it's just trusting the process of waiting your turn and being ready. If, you get that phone call and you hop on that plane and, you got fire on all cylinders. So, it's one of those positions too, where they could have you on the roster for 4 weeks and, their guy's injured on the IR and you're on the team for 4 weeks and they bring in the next guy in for 4 weeks on the practice squad and elevate you each week for the game. And it's, that's everywhere in special teams. If they can't figure it out during the year, they're just going to continue to cycle guys in. So it's kind of just be ready for the opportunity.
Yeah, be ready for those opportunities. But I guess we can continue some of the other rapid fire questions. NY pizza or Chicago pizza?
Chicago.
KFC or Popeyes?
KFC.
PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
Okay. Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto?
I don't play video games anymore, but in high school it's Call of Duty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you had to choose between Madden or the new NCAA game, which one would you play?
NCAA. I mean, we didn't get to be in the game, but it's kind of cool. I know a lot of guys that played at Campbell that transferred to higher schools, and just seeing them on the game and playing with them is a good time as well.
Yeah. So how has faith shaped your experience on the football field?
Especially going to a Christian university such as Campbell. It's very focused around that. Being around a team that, prays before and after the game. It's very special to be in that environment and everyone equals that, has that same value. And really, at the end of the day shows you that, your identity is not football and it should be within, with God and your relationship with God and continuing to grow that faith. And that's what I've, definitely, thankful for football, because you find guys that are same age as you that are going through the same experience and growing their faith as well. So being able to have those conversations with the guys your age is, very impactful.
Yeah, you learn a lot from all those experience in college and all that. So guess we go with another vehicle. I guess a Chevy or Ford if you had to choose.
Probably Ford.
Yeah, can't go wrong with those. Those are built tough or something.
Yep.
Okay, so let's do some common sense and stuff, since we have some moments in football. Let's say you have a quitter on your guys' team. How do you deal with that circumstances during a game?
A quitter?
Yeah, a quitter, a guy that just leaves that randomly just during a game. He could have just left probably before the game or something, but he decides to do it at the last minute.
Yeah. Kind of you got to lock in and stay in the moment when, people can make their decisions like that, but all matters is the guys who bought into the standard and the program and, are loyal to the program as well. And who those guys are when, on those 6 a.m. workouts, who those guys are from day one before it comes to Saturdays. So, at the end of the day, you need 11 dudes on each side of the ball. And, I think that, if you continue to stay focused and not worry about the dudes trying to get you off of, your own track, and just continue to stay trusting what you got to do to make sure the team is better, and not worry about what you have to do to, make yourself better, make sure you look good. It's really about, making sure the team, and that's the, in special teams in general, it's probably the most selfless position on the field. You ain't getting the hype. You ain't getting your name in the newspaper, but if you do mess up, people are going to know about it. So, just having that mentality is huge. And, I wish kind of everyone had that mentality on a football team, probably going to win a national championship, because dudes like that at the college level, especially, at our age, get into that headspace, but you kind of just got to stay, focused on what's at task.
Yeah, it comes with it just comes with all that type of stuff. You either want to be a part of it or not, but it's just like, it's kind of sad how some people just leave on their teammates like that, and it's just wrong, but in a lot of different ways. So how do you deal with a silent altercation with a certain teammate that just doesn't seem to be on the same page? How do you become a peacemaker to all these guys?
For me, it was just, in the past, just, looking at them and taking them aside. And, a lot of guys trusted me because of, what I did on the field and how I acted off the field. And that's the biggest thing, is you got to earn that respect. And when guys respect you, they listen to you. And that respect is not earned on Saturdays. It's earned on the Monday mornings. It's earned in that cafeteria when you're just having conversations about life and growing your faith in those Bible studies as well. So just connecting them back to why they're doing what they're doing and not worrying about the situation at hand and just calming down, just worry about the next play. Don't forget about what happened in the past.
Yeah. You all got to forget about the past and all that stuff. So it comes down to like how things are. We just move forward and all that. So let's say you guys are down by multiple touchdowns. What would be the best pep talk to get this team to come from behind and win this ball game?
For me, it'd just be, one play at a time. You got to go out there and start something. If you think you're going to just go and put up 28, it's not going to happen. You got to worry about that first down. And that's what the mentality is, just, take the first thing that is at task and continue to go down the line.
Yeah, you take it one play at a time. If you guys wonder or not, that's the way it should be. But I guess we got a couple more questions here. I guess for you being a Midwest, are you a hunting or a fishing person?
Definitely fishing based on the weather. When I get hunting up north, it's a little cold for my liking. Been fishing in the summers where it's at.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So if your life was made into a movie, well, who would cast yourself and what musician would you create the soundtrack of? Hey, this is pretty good. See, this is how we get to know more about you. Like if you had to come up with something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I like for me personally, have you watched the Kurt Warner movie?
Yeah, that one's a good one.
That's kind of my story, and not anywhere close to that, but it's kind of the same trajectory of being at a small school and working like this last summer. You don't get a lot of money to play at FCS. You get your school paid for a little, enough to put food on the table. But if you want to have any fun money, you're gonna have to have a job. And I worked at Dollar General 4 or 5 hours a day while in between meeting times and other opportunities. So kind of I liked how that was portrayed and the actors that were portrayed in that movie. Musician wise, I really like Kendrick right now and his music and how it gets me in the weight room. And I feel like that's kind of my motto right now. Just, it just, yeah, I'd probably say Kendrick.
Yeah, Kendrick, yeah, he's got some good songs. So there's a lot of good ones. But as far as like, how do you prepare for your upcoming opponents? How do you do all your matchups against your opponents, especially on special teams?
Yeah. So, when one's watching film and seeing what guys do based off of, being in the CAA, I think we were there are multiple teams in CAA this last year that switched to pro style, but in 23, we were the only team that ran pro style. But, I'd had to watch film from the year prior to see what they would do, not knowing what guys that were being there. And then, that first week is kind of a shot in the dark what they're going to bring at you. But then each week, just going back, watching film, you don't have to watch a whole lot of film as a long snapper. And then at the end of the day, it's just, going out to practice, just, being able to fire on all cylinders every day, know you're confident in your abilities and be able to be ready for a game.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think everything speaks for itself. So I guess when opportunities present itself, man, it's going to pay off. All those years in college, you're finally getting to live out a dream. So when did you feel the game got slower?
Junior year when I got to Campbell, I felt very comfortable going into week 1 against William & Mary. We played where they came off a quarterfinal year before. They got all the way to play Montana State in the quarterfinals, FCS playoffs. And, as that season went on, we had to go play UNC against Drake May. And, I had Cedric Gray, who plays with Tennessee Titans right now, and Power Eccles, and another linebacker who's, in conversations for this year's draft. And I was able to go in there and not worry about who your name is, who you are, and just kind of know that I belong there. So, it's just kind of, training at this highest level, in January, and I'm doing the same workouts as the wide receivers, that built confidence and, that slowed the game down.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, all of that. But who gave you some advice going into the NFL?
I'd say, when I got to Campbell, my head coach, Mike Minner, and special teams coordinator saw it from from spring ball that first year that I had the opportunity that I would, continue to work hard. I'd get a shot because, they've been around a lot of guys in the NFL. They know what it takes to play in the NFL. And, when they see that in other people, you take that advice, you take that and you run with it, and then as the process went on, I just learned from them how to be a pro and took everything from when you play in the NFL for 10 years and, Coach Maynard was at the one time the most career starts for the Panthers. So he, had a lot under his belt. So I listen to him and I'd take every word he would say because, that was truth.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, man, but definitely appreciate your time, bro. I know that it's going to be worth the process. I know the opportunity is going to present itself, man, but take every opportunity you get, man, whether it's with San Francisco or those 31 teams or, heck, even with your favorite team, Packers, man. Who knows?
Awesome.
Whatever happens, man, I'm rooting for you.
Appreciate that. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
For sure. But for everybody else, man, tell them where they can find your social media platform.
Yeah, my Instagram is Bobby Cleary, BOBBY CLEARYY, and then my Twitter is Bobby3Cleary. That's all I have for socials. But yeah, give me a follow. Check out my journey and hopefully playing the pros.
Oh yeah, hopefully, man. Hopefully you make your dream, and I'll be right down there rooting for you down the sidelines if I ever get a chance to see you out there, man. But yeah, if you happen to go to San Francisco, let's make a second appearance, man. Let's keep it going, bro. But yeah, I'm rooting for you, man. It seems like when you were talking about that Warner movie, I think of it more as a Rudy movie to me.
Yeah.
Because Rudy had less plays, right? But he made that one less play matter.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly, man. But for everybody else, this is Campbell University long snapper Bobby Cleary, man. This is part of the one position that y'all need to take seriously, man. If you don't, hey, it comes down to special teams sometimes. You guys be surprised. But, hey, man, thank you for your time, Bobby Cleary. And for everybody else, we're out.